It's time we start talking about how you're gonna aim this pistol. And for decades, there have been two primary ways of doing so. One that's been around really for a very long time and has pretty much remained unchanged from its inception, and the other, which has undergone tons of advancements, especially in recent years. It also happens to be the easiest and most intuitive for new shooters to learn, and it's the one that Vortex manufactures and sells as well. I do get that, but remember, you can always trust me.
Trust me.
I'm Jimmy, this is New to Guns. Let's talk about red dots versus iron sights. Those two sighting systems I'm referring to are iron sights and a red dot. Ask any random kid on the street to draw you a picture of a pistol, and if you're not getting the cops called on you, chances are that kid is going to draw you a silhouette that looks something like this. See, this is a pistol with just iron sights. We have a rear iron sight here and a front iron sight, which we'll get into more in a bit. Now, that may not be the case for very much longer, as red dots are growing a ton in popularity as the go-to sighting method for pistols. Let's talk about why.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Now, I think the best way to explain the differences between red dots and iron sights on handguns and why we would go with the red dot would be to break them down into practical shooting categories that we feel are very important. Number one is intuitiveness. Shooting a pistol well is challenging. Aiming a pistol well should not be challenging. If you can get a sighting system that takes less time to learn simply how to aim the gun so you can get to focusing on the shooting part sooner, that's a plus. Ease of setup. What's needed in order to get this sighting system functioning in harmony with your pistol? This often involves a process we call zeroing. Zeroing involves making tweaks to your sights so that when you aim at a certain spot on the target at a specific distance, the barrel is also pointed at that same spot and it's gonna deliver a round right there.
Science!
Sight acquisition. You want the sights to be easy and quick to pick up when you bring the gun up to your eye. Last, we've got reliability, because you want to be able to depend on your sighting system.
To the news van!
Going back to that intuitiveness category, let's start off with the red dot. Red dots on pistols are as intuitive as it gets. Quite simply, and ensuring a few proper shooting mechanics, which we will go over in a future video, you're going to bring the gun up to your eye, look through the window of the red dot at the target, and there should be a red dot right in that window, which you can place on the target wherever you want the round to go, and that's where the round's gonna go as soon as you pull the trigger. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
With tons of lemon juice.
Now for iron sights. In concept, not that hard to understand, but in practice, it can be a little bit difficult. You see, what we need to do is line up the front sight with this rear sight in the sort of valley that you get in the middle of the rear sight. So that requires focusing on two different planes, one further from your eye and one right up next to your eye. Now that's not all. There is a third plane we need to focus on, which is of course the target downrange. So we're always having to be aware of three different objects in three different planes while shooting in order to have everything lined up properly to be accurate. As you can see, there's a little more going on with iron sights, and therefore we're gonna give the point to red dots in the intuitiveness category. This is what a red dot looks like. It's pretty incredible. You just put the red dot on the target if you were shooting me, which I hope you won't, because I'm not a sketchy figure or anything like that, at least that I'm aware of. Put it on the target where you want to shoot, and bam! This is the thing with iron sights. See, you got this front sight, you got this rear sight. Now they have to be lined up. See that? Equal height, equal light between the front sight post and either two sides of the rear sight. Now you line those up, and bingo. But sometimes it looks like this, and sometimes it's like that, and you're all... I hope that was helpful. Ease of setup is our next category. We're gonna start with red dots again. Now, red dots, assuming that you have an optics-ready pistol, are easy to set up, but they do require a few steps. First things first, with an inch-pounds torque wrench like the one Vortex sells, some blue Loctite, and one bit, you can mount your red dot right up to the plate system on your given pistol. From there, you're gonna take it to the range and go through the zeroing process, which involves taking a few shots, making adjustments to the dials until you're all sighted in, and then you're ready to rock. Like we said, there's a few steps there, but overall, none of them are that hard, and we're gonna go over them in a future video as well. Now for iron sights. Pretty much every pistol out there is going to come set up with a set of iron sights, and we have yet to see a set of iron sights on a factory gun fresh out of the box that are grossly misaligned, that they're not pretty much ready to go. So that is easy. That being said, if your iron sights ever become misaligned, either from you putting in new iron sights or from vibrations and hard use over time, they can become misaligned. The process of getting them back in alignment to be zeroed is actually much more difficult than that of adjusting your sight with a red dot. Now, in order to not seem totally biased towards the red dot, I am actually going to give the point to the iron sights here because, like we said, fresh out of the box, they should be pretty much ready to go. There are a few steps involved with the red dot. Let's talk sight acquisition. Of course, we're going to start with the red dot here, and as the name implies, it uses a nice, bright, shiny red dot as your aiming point.
Ooh, it's shiny?
Now, this bright, shiny red dot can be seen in bright daylight or complete darkness. Not to mention, it is a bright, shiny red dot. So therefore, if you're pulling this gun out of a holster or from any other position, it's extremely quick to pick up. Iron sights, not so much. Now, some iron sights do incorporate a fiber optic or actually even a tritium vial in the front sight to be easier to see in those conditions like complete darkness, for example. But even still, the iron sights can't hold a candle to the red dot in this category, so we're gonna give the point to the red dot. Finally, let's talk reliability. You know, reliable, like Busch Light or that Toyota Camry you drove in high school that probably never had any oil in it the whole time, but still ran.
97 Toyota Camry.
Starting off with red dots, one thing to keep in mind is that red dots do rely on a battery to power the LED emitter, which gives you that nice, bright, shiny red dot to aim with. If your battery dies, as soon as you go to look through the red dot, you're just gonna be looking through a nice little window at your target and you won't have an aiming point. Now, modern red dots, their battery life is measured in thousands of hours, and batteries are cheap and simple to change. So maintaining some form of battery maintenance schedule and replacing your battery will ensure that never happens. Otherwise, modern advancements in red dot technology and construction have made them extremely reliable overall. Iron sights don't require a battery to function. Hooray! That being said, they are not indestructible or infallible by any means. Most standard iron sights you're going to see on a gun that you'd buy from the store will have the iron sights drifted into the slide into what we call a dovetail. It makes for a really nice tight fit, but over time with hard use, bumps, bangs, bruises, etc., it can start to mess up the alignment of your iron sights.
Really?
And even after a while, and we have seen this in classes from time to time, they can start to work themselves free and actually fall out of their intended dovetail home. How are we gonna award points for this category? I'm actually gonna call it a draw. Your sights should never be neglected. If you just have a pistol with iron sights, you should always be making sure that those iron sights are keeping their proper relation to one another and never working themselves loose. That should be addressed right away. If you have a red dot, you should be maintaining a proper battery changing schedule, and you should do it well in advance of the red dot's advertised battery life, so you're never goofing around with a potentially dead battery or even coming close to that situation. One more thing I realized I didn't point out explicitly, and thanks to my camera guy for pointing it out.
Here we go.
Buying a red dot is an additional cost. I get it, right? You've already ponied up for the firearm, and now I'm telling you to go out and buy something additional for it. But think of your pistol as like a child, right? A minor investment monetarily into your child. And you could see all of those bullets, those rounds. Think of them as potential achievements for your child. They can all go where they were intended to go with the red dot. And you can feel good about that. Whereas the pistol with the iron sights, you didn't really invest anything else into the gun. You just kind of let it go. Kind of as it came, just see what happens. Some of those rounds are gonna go errantly, who knows where. That gun's not gonna feel very good about itself. And you'll live always knowing that you could have done better for that gun. That's all I have to say about that. There you have it, folks, a categorical breakdown of why we feel red dots are the go-to sighting solution for a pistol and why you should get one on your first pistol. Really, it's gonna make shooting so much easier. Like I said before, aiming a gun shouldn't be hard. The shooting part is probably gonna be the challenge. We're gonna have plenty more videos to come about getting through all that. But seriously, guys, Trust me, red dot is the way to go. If you guys have any questions, or if there's anything I said throughout the course of this video that didn't make sense, raised a question mark in your head, definitely please let us know in the comments below or on social media somewhere, because we want to make sure this is as close to a zero assumptions series of videos for those of you out there who are truly new to guns. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. If any of you went to school in the, when were these a thing? Overheads? What was this, the 80s to like the 2000s? Yeah. Were they a thing in the 70s too? I wasn't around. I don't know. Buy Raisin Bran.
Yes.
Transparencies. That's what people call them. Transparencies.